Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Ring Magazine will be holding their inaugural Ring Magazine Awards on the 11th of this month. The expected categories: Female Fighter of the Year, and the nominees: Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, Amandius Ranio, Michaela Mayer, and Gabby Fundora. Of the five, if it were up to me, I would give Female Fighter of the Year to Gabby Fundora, because Gabby made history this year, and it is the job of a popular periodical like Ring Magazine to accent the history she made. For the very first time in the flyweight division, there's an undisputed champion in the four-belt era!
Stop yelling.
You have to reward those fighters that actually pursue that goal in that last brass ring. Acknowledge them, because it gives the incentive for the next generation, the next wave of fighters, to be just as ambitious. It would be very easy to give it to the more popular fighters like Katie and Amanda, Michaela, but when you do that, you're essentially alienating the other female fighters, the other champions that are out there, and you're not doing your job. It's your job to inform the boxing community at large about what's happening in the sport, so you can't just keep talking about the same people. The women's flyweight division is not as popular and not as talked about as some other weight class. Thus, it's your job to inform people. If the goal is to grow the sport, then that's how you do it. Familiarize the boxing community at large with what fighters and what champions they're not already familiar with. And more than anything, Gabby deserves it. Only 22 years old, already an undisputed champion. Just getting started. She might do the exact same thing at super flyweight if and when she moves up there, and I anticipate that she's going to. It has to be acknowledged. Gabby Fundora is undisputed champion, but not just undisputed, the inaugural undisputed champion, meaning there's never been one at that weight before her. If it were up to me, Fighter of the Year, Female Fighter of the Year, would go to Gabby Fundora. Male Fighter of the Year, that would be between Alexander Usyk and Artur Beterbiev. You don't think Daniel Duboef deserves a shout? He already got a shout by being nominated, but I wouldn't say he's Fighter of the Year, perhaps the most improved. No, Fighter of the Year, at least to me, is between Alexander Usyk and Artur Beterbiev, because both men became undisputed champions this year. Before Alexander Usyk, the heavyweight division had not seen an undisputed champion crowned in over 20 years, 25. I think it was the same at light heavyweight. Before Artur Beterbiev, who was the last undisputed champion that division saw? Male Fighter of the Year to me should be between Alexander Usyk and Artur Beterbiev, and I'm leaning towards Alexander Usyk, because even Artur Beterbiev is not going to find himself in a situation at light heavyweight where he's outweighed by his opponent by a whopping 55 pounds. In the granddaddy of all weight classes, to beat the great Tyson Fury, the guy that they put on a pedestal for so long, not once, but twice, in the same calendar year. He deserves Fighter of the Year to me. He is Fighter of the Year to me. So they've got Daniel Duboef there. Now maybe you can give Daniel Duboef Most Improved. Maybe you could give Joseph Parker Comeback of the Year. I feel like those two categories, for those two specific fighters, are interchangeable. Maybe that's the shout that you can give them. What about Junto? What about Bam? Bam. Yeah, maybe you could give Bam or Junto Breakout Star of the Year. That these two young fighters, already so accomplished, are rising stars in the sport, and the best is yet to come for them. Bam. Fight of the Year. The men's fight of the year, I would say, was Usyk versus Fury 1, because it's a fight that had something for everybody. It's a fight that had a little bit of everything. Thrills and spills and drama, action. The 9th round, I think, was the most memorable round of that entire calendar year, as Usyk played ping pong with Tyson Fury's head from one end of the ring to the other, and Tyson Fury valiantly trying to stay on his feet, trying not to go down. I think if he had, he wouldn't have been able to get back up. It's a fight that was fought at the highest level for the biggest prize and a truckload of money. Yeah, I think the men's fight of the year would have to be Fury versus Usyk 1. The women's fight of the year, I can think of at least 3 candidates, 3 contestants. You have Estrada versus Valle that took place earlier in the year, Mayer versus Ryan that really delivered, and of course, Taylor versus Serrano 2. Of the 3, predictably, I'd give it to Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. I mean, both times you've put those 2 women in a ring with each other, they've given it everything they had, to the point where you wonder how they're still standing. I have my reservations about the outcome of that fight, because at the end of it, I thought Amanda won. Though as far as the fight itself, and its aesthetic, it's everything you want. It's the kind of fight that brings people to boxing. It's the kind of fight to where you don't even need to be a hardcore boxing fan to enjoy it. It will make a fan out of you. It might make you a Katie Taylor fan or an Amanda Serrano fan. The fight's aesthetic was that good. Both times, Amanda and Katie delivered. And I would bestow that honor to the both of them in their fight. Fight of the year for the women, it's gotta be Katie and Amanda again. We'll have to wait until the 11th to see who the actual winners are, but if it were up to me, that's how it would go down.
No, we're not discrediting Sandor. We just didn't expect him to be that competitive with you. And then even
Bro, they didn't even, Vada, I'm gonna tell y'all straight the all right? These motherfuckers, and I'm actually going past my time right now. Well, you know what, man, kill or be killed, right? So look, Vada, and I'm sorry to dispute this, but I don't have no track record of them. When I went to the hospital against Cambosos, all right? When I went to the hospital, guess who was in the other the hospital of the ER? Guess who was? George Cambosos. And you know why? To avoid the drug testing of Vada. To avoid drug testing of Vada. Sandor Martin, when I fought him and faced him, all right? They avoided the drug testing of Vada. A championship, a title eliminator, whatever you want to call it, yo. These crooks. And the next time I fight on contract is going to be with WADA or USADA. You heard? Crooks.
Nasty.
And I'm the one that got to take that shit. I got to be the one to take that shit because I was destined for greatness and I am great. All y'all got to understand one thing. These all right? All these they going to get what they get. You know why? Because I always kept it true. True to the sport. I'm a champion's heart, man. Y'all don't understand this shit as deep as it gets, but they use me as a commandant. George Cambosos is not taking Teofimo's accusations lying down. He responded to him by saying, "Son, shut up. I got a track record of belting the shit out of you. Yeah, while you were dying in the other room after I punched the hell out of you and took all your belts and your paydays, your broke-ass delusional fugazi bitch, I was in the other room celebrating and getting some stitches." Teofimo said that George was in the hospital to avoid the VADA testing, but he got punched up in that fight too, and he got knocked down too. Could that be the reason he was in the hospital? George continued, "I then went back to the hotel an hour later and ate a fat burger and rewatched the beatdown while you got stuck in the intensive care unit for over a week. Plenty of time for you to come up with 5,000 excuses while your daddy was smashing up the hotel room off his head. Oh, and for VADA testing, I got tested in my changing room straight after the fight. And that was my 50th test for our fight. Never failed a test in my life. But of course, another excuse to try to ease the pain. That beating I gave you 100% cemented some permanent CTE. I'm sure of it. Sure, it would have felt like I was on everything. You fugazi broke bitch. Shut up! The problem with Teofimo's accusation is that up until this point, he never accused George of being dirty, and he never said anything about VADA not testing George. What he did say was that Matchroom set him up. No, what he said was he had a hole in his esophagus, he went into the fight sick, Matchroom set him
him up.
Now you're saying that George was dirty. You're saying that George was on peds. Sandor Martin, too.
Sandor Martin, who responded to Teofimo's latest accusation with actual documentation of his VADA tests.
Which came back negative.
He tagged Teofimo and said, "Explain to people how you went to cry in the locker room and ask for oxygen after our fight at Madison Square Garden. That's reality. I never needed drugs. Did you?" Teofimo responded to Sandor by saying, "Eres un pendejo. We get tested after our fight, which happened in December. You can lie to the people, but not to me. I didn't know September comes after December. Hashtag boxing. Hashtag keep the sport clean."
Wait a minute. So now your problem is when he got tested. Didn't you tell Nesta Gibbs that he didn't get tested at all?
Sandor Martin, when I fought him and faced him, all right, they avoided the drug testing of VADA.
If they avoided the drug testing of VADA, how does Sandor Martin produce actual documentation from VADA from his tests that came back negative? What are you doing?
Immediately after that fight, Teofimo didn't say nothing about VADA. He didn't say nothing about Sandor being a dirty fighter.
All of a sudden he comes up with this stuff, and I can't help but think, monkey see, monkey do. You know that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, they have their anti-doping fiasco, and I can't help but think that Teofimo's trying to manufacture his own.
Why?
So that he can have something to talk about, something to take to the public, since he isn't fighting and it looks like his fight with Subriel Matias is about to fall through. He needs to make news somehow.
Keep his name out there somehow, so he's trying to manufacture a controversy.
What did I tell you in my previous video about this guy? Monkey see, monkey do. He sees how much attention Devin and Ryan's situation got. It was all anybody could talk about. In some circles, it's all anybody is still talking about. And he wants to manufacture a controversy like that of his own, while simultaneously explaining away his piss-poor performances.
George was on peds.
Sandor was on peds.
Odd that you waited all this time to start talking about VADA, start talking about peds, start talking about George, start talking about Sandor.
Teofimo's crashing out. That's what I think. He's crashing out. He's lashing out. At anybody. At everybody.
He can't have his way, so he's throwing his toys out of the pram.
These baseless accusations that Teofimo is making are in keeping with the baseless accusations he made about Eddie Hearn. He made about Matchroom. Remember, up until now, the story from Teofimo was they set him up.
What, Top Rank set you up too? Because you're saying Sandor was a dirty fighter, that he didn't get tested.
When you fought him, that was under the Top Rank banner. So let me see if I understand this. You got problems with Matchroom, problems with Top Rank.
Maybe you're the problem.
Teofimo also took a shot at Shakur Stevenson. He said after 16 plus months facing a prospect.
He's talking about the Floyd Schofield fight, though. He's in no position to talk because he's the same one who said that he would never fight Shakur Stevenson. That's basically saying Floyd Schofield,
right?
A prospect, has more heart than you do.
Is more willing to box Shakur Stevenson than you are. He's a prospect doing that. You should be ashamed of yourself. Lopez continued, "What's my buyout again, Top Rank Boxing? I'm leaving this post definitely too," to which a Twitter user that goes by the name Brian Joseph responded, "Did you mean indefinitely?"
Yeah, because he deleted the other one.
So buyout stuff is about him being able to buy out his contract, him or some generous benefactor, somebody who can swoop in with all their money and buy him out of his existing Top Rank deal. He continued, "I wonder if Top Rank Boxing is hitting their minimum benchmarks with their ESPN deal. Out of 89 million, I wonder if an audit would help ESPN. No wonder why ESPN wants to leave Top Rank and Duboef."
This kid's doing too much.
I don't imagine Teofimo has many fights left in his existing Top Rank deal. If I had to guess, he probably only has one.
One?
Just one. So if you don't actually have a lot of fights or a lot of time left in your deal, why would you want to be bought out now? All you have to do is fight. Just one more fight. What are you afraid of? He posted a doctored image of Todd Duboef standing next to a gravestone that reads, "Rest in peace, Top Rank on ESPN 2018 to 2025.
By now it's not a secret that Top Rank's existing deal with ESPN is set to be up over the summer months. Widespread speculation indicates that ESPN may be leaving boxing, and we'll see if they do.
But what the hell does that have to do with you, Teofimo? What does that have to do with you and your situation?
What?
Only boxing news. I am fit and ready to fight. I weigh 150 pounds and train steadily every day and every night. My principles are that when you're at the top of the mountain, you must continue to build and chisel yourself from the mind, body, and soul. Wants to get away from Top Rank so bad, he would speed up that process and move it along a lot faster if he would stop playing philosopher online and just fight. Just shut up and fight.
The sooner you fight, the closer you get to the end of your deal.
Pocket watching a millionaire who touched 10 throughout his career, looking like a whole bunch of brokies on this X app.
Who touched 10 million throughout their career? Didn't he tell Cameron that he never made $1 million for a single fight? Didn't he go on there with that sob story?
To my ladies, I'll help you reach the climax that your man can't make. I've got that good love, girl. You didn't know?
Cringe!
My divorce is being finalized in a few weeks. To all my married women and single ladies, I can't wait to meet you and make memories together with joy and laughter. Just friends, though. I'm being celibate this year.
Cringe!
And so I take it that if you're filing divorce papers, things with you and the missus are not working out, while you claim to be able to deliver the climax that so many women aspire for, if you could do that, I don't think you'd be getting that divorce.
I think you'd have been able to keep your little stewardess friend in line.
If you were dicking her down the way she needs to be dicked down.
Don't!
Teofimo has problems wherever he goes because Teofimo is the problem. Whether he's having a one-off at Matchroom or he's got a multi-fight deal with Top Rank, he's the problem.
If this were just about getting away from Top Rank and being able to branch out on your own, the sooner you honor that deal, the sooner you can do that. If you've been trying to terminate it early,
And he has.
it's because you're afraid you're going to lose your next fight. Whether it's a Brian Norman fight or a Subriel Matias fight, that's why you're trying to kill the deal early. That's why you don't want to honor it.
The fighters that he likes to criticize, like Terrence Crawford or Shakur Stevenson, they've had their issues with Top Rank, the same as him. The difference is they honored the deal.
They saw out the life of the deal until the deal ended, and that's how they achieved free agency. Same with Devin Haney. What did he have? A 2-fight, 3-fight deal with Top Rank? Did the 3 fights and moved on.
You don't want to do that because you're not as confident as they were. You're not as confident as you let on. You're afraid you're gonna lose your next fight.
You want to be bought out before that happens.
Though, when you don't get along with a Matchroom, and the PBC ain't got no goddamn money, Golden Boy's not gonna overpay you, who is it you're expecting to buy out your deal, buy out your contract? Who?
Turkey?
You know, I've never heard Turkey LL Sheik express an interest in using Teofimo on one of his Riyadh season shows. It's almost surprising that he hasn't, but he hasn't.
Are you expecting Turkey to swoop in like he's your fairy godmother and buy out your contract? Or maybe it's Eddie Reynoso. Maybe it's Canelo you're expecting to do that, since you're now being trained by them.
Achieving free agency and its benefits all depends on who you are and what your marquee value is. For a fighter like Teofimo, who never really graduated from the Hulu Theater, you never got to the point where you're selling 10,000, 15, 20,000 tickets for a fight. You've never been on pay-per-view.
So the most that free agency can do for you
Is help you negotiate another deal with another promoter. The problem is you don't get along with any other promoters.
What do you think is gonna happen?